we started chit-chatting before this episode started, actually, about the queer community and everything, and how the beauty of queer identity is actually that you don't have to fit into a box. You don't have to do anything. You will still, specifically anything, you can still be respected just by existing. And that is one of the beauties which lies in the fact that there is no need for labeling, unless an individual actually explicitly has a desire to put a label on themselves and to say that they're one thing or another. The beauty is also in the atmosphere and the values which are usually linked with the LGBTQ plus community, and that being in this community it's immensely okay to be different, and this community is completely accepting, inclusive, and most of all happy to be as diverse as possible. And I mean that's one of my favorite things about the community, being in the LGBTQ community, is that you feel like you're welcome no matter what you do. However, some members of the LGBTQ plus community feel more discriminated than others. It's a layer of this. There are many layers of discrimination, actually. That's how I'm gonna put it. And what's even more concerning is that these layers sometimes don't come out from the external factors that we as the LGBTQ community interact with, but rather within the LGBTQ plus community. And some people are just discriminated against by the fellow members of the community, which is sometimes really, really weird to see. Bisexual people are one of the examples. I mean, trans community especially, but for example, bisexual people are sometimes, but unfortunately more often than not, described as indecisive, even as greedy, for not being able to, air quotes, pick between mostly binary options. And so in this episode of Youth Squad, I have an opportunity to talk about the problematic terminology and the stereotypes that are surrounding the bisexual people with Dušanka. She's an LGBTQ plus activist, a feminist, and a huge advocate for human rights, which I love about her. So welcome, Dušanka. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for this amazing intro.
It was my pleasure. So when I was thinking about this episode, it was actually really hard to think of an angle in direction in which this conversation can go, because this topic is actually quite broad. And although we're talking only about one letter of the LGBTQ plus, it's still quite, there's a lot of things to cover, and I believe that it's important to give it justice. So that's the reason I was really pressured to, actually do it correctly and rightly. So I was actually thinking about what's the one thing that everyone thinks of once they, mention that someone is bi. And I realized that many words come up, on my mind, and I was like, yeah, well, these are all stereotypes, and mostly negative ones. So I had an awesome idea, I may say so, to actually go through some of the stereotypes with you, and to maybe, just hear your comments and thoughts about it, and to maybe debunk them or support the stereotypes if they're true.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and you have experience, right, in working with the LGBTQ plus community, and you were directly talking to these people, hearing their needs and opinions and thoughts about different things. So that's why I thought that you would be the best person to actually talk about this.
Yeah, and I'm also bisexual, so...
there you go. You heard it here first. Jokes. But yeah, I mean, so like from personal perspective, and also from a perspective of someone who actually worked with bisexual people, you interacted with the media who were talking about the LGBTQ community, and also the bisexual people. I think you were the right person to actually address some of these stereotypes. Do you know any stereotypes? Would you can you think of any?
I cannot say funny story, but an interesting one. Last year during the Euro Pride, I was going home by cab, and I started talking with the taxi driver, and he was like, "Oh, Euro Pride, tralala," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm bisexual." I just thought that it's okay for me to tell him that I'm bisexual. And he asked me, "Oh, you are now in a relationship with a girl and a boy?" And I was like, "No, I'm not, but I can have feelings for also girls and boys." And he was like, "Oh, that's so nice if you have a boyfriend." And yeah, it was so awkward at the end.
So
because
it's nice for a boyfriend, right?
yeah,
It's good for your boyfriend.
yeah,
Oh my
because
God.
your identity is only for male gaze, and you're just existing, and your love for other gender that's not cis male gender.
It's simply
It's simply just for male gaze and just
fetishing.
yeah. So I mean, that's why I said interesting, not funny, because at the end it was pretty awkward, and I just didn't felt a need to explain myself to this person because he put me in a box of just a hot fetish of threesomes and I don't know, making out with the girls. So. That's just what I felt on my skin, and it wasn't comfortable at all.
I mean, kudos to you to even outing yourself in front of a taxi driver. I would never, you know.
He cannot do anything.
No, I mean, absolutely, and that mindset should be something that's more, you know, present in our community. But sometimes, I mean, that more often than not, people feel threatened by someone driving a car, and you know, just you know.
Yeah, I understand it, but like the situation there wasn't. He was pretty friendly, so I mean, he was curious about the Europride stuff and something like that. So I was pretty comfortable to say that I'm a part of community and that he's talking with somebody who is not straight, because you need to know that people around you are not only straight people, and like that your neighbors and I don't know, godfathers who are hiding themselves in closet and stuff. You know, we are here and we are present, and I just felt pretty comfortable to say that I'm bisexual, but not to be fetishized.
You see now why I chose you for this episode, because you are such a huge advocate for everything. Like it's in the core of everything you do, not only your work, but like basically everything you do in your life, even taking a taxi drive home.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, but like, do you know what the first thought I had when you shared this story with me, with us actually? It was that like, oh, thank God he didn't discriminate against you. He just fetishized you. I mean, like not in that sense, but I was like, I had that for a split of a second, that thought ran through my head, and I was like, no, that's exactly what I wanted to point out, is that like people tend to believe that, you know, being stereotyped and being this, you know, like existing for someone's gaze or for just, you know, existing to pleasure someone's idea about you is better than, you know, getting you know, verbally assaulted or assaulted in any way. And then I was like, no, it's not. Because, you know, this also, what you just mentioned, and this is also the topic of this episode, is that this leads to biphobia, this leads to homophobia, and this can actually be quite dangerous. So, let's dive into the
other ones that exist.
Yes, the other stereotypes. Some of them will kind of be similar to what you just mentioned, but you know, let's go through the variety of them. Luckily or not so luckily, we have a lot of them.
Yeah, we have a lot of them, but that's fine because we can easily erase them.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing that we should focus on.
Yeah, but also I just want to say that prejudice and stereotypes exist even if you're a liberal person who we are just made that way to have something in our mind that's like solid, but we have a power to erase that and to think beyond them. So when you wake up every day, you have prejudice about everything, but it's just your actions that show how you're treating that prejudice during your life. So
no, I mean, that's exactly, I mean, thank you for saying this, because I felt bad for saying, you know, my train of thoughts for a second there, because I was like happy you were safe in a sense where, like, you know, he didn't assault you in any way, but then, you know, understanding that this also is very dangerous is what makes you, you know, woke, what makes you actually aware of the problem at hand, not only being, you know, you being assaulted in, you know, either physically or verbally, but like this was also a part of the process that we have to fight against.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
first stereotype, it's that bisexual people are indecisive. People always probably tell you that, make up your mind, pick a side, you can have both, blah, blah, blah. What's wrong with that?
It's everything.
Everything? Only everything?
Picking a side is so wrong in so many ways, because you are not 50-50. Let's start by that. You're not 50-50 into boys, girls, and everything in between and beyond that. I think that...
even what you just said, like, it's not a binary option. It's not just
binary.
two genders.
Yeah, and that's
it's like a whole spectrum.
Yeah, it's whole spectrum, and bisexual, like, the term bisexuality is often considered transphobic, which is not, because being a bisexual means that you can feel love to your gender and every other sex, every other gender identity, like every other. But of course, there are bisexual people that are transphobic, also gay people, lesbians, because that are people, and that's sad true. But the core is not transphobic. But picking a side, I think that because you feel threatened by your community, your LGBT community, and the straight community, because, like, if you are in heterosexual relationship, are you really bisexual? Or if you are in a same-sex relationship, are you really
bisexual?
Because, like, and when you broke up, like, when the same-sex relationship ends, and you go back, quote unquote, to being in a straight relationship, are you really bisexual?
Yeah, you would just, it was just a phase.
So it was just a phase. It's not. It's a possibility to just feel love toward many people. Not many people, but, like,
not at the same time necessarily.
But
also why not?
But that's other story. That's polyamory. It's not bisexuality. So you cannot pick a side because you are not a side picker. So
nice.
So I just think that that's the core of it. It's just feeling threatened by, are you a part of us or a part of them? And I think that's I think that it's not that harmful, like, in huge way. I think that more harmful is different stereotypes that are just erasing your identity at all. But you, as our community and other communities, just should feel safer for their identity from the start, and just not to feel threatened by every other identity. I don't know if I put that correctly.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, and I completely understand what you're trying to say. And definitely, like, this stereotype is, make your mind up and pick a side, is very invasive. It's really, like, hitting you at the core of your identity, because, like, it's not easy to accept yourself, whatever your identity is, whether it be, heterosexual, cis, men, you still have to go through a process of accepting themselves. And when something is, distancing itself from the norm, and whatever the norm is at the moment, you will feel threatened anyway. And then add to that the fact and the pressure that you feel from the community itself, where you should feel welcome in. It's quite a burden that you have to have on your back all the time to prove yourself.
Yeah, but I think that the most threatening is invisibility. Like, you are not seen. That's related to picking a side, but you're not really seen as a OG part of the community, if I can say that.
Yeah, because, this is actually a good intro to our next stereotype, which, why won't you just admit that you're gay?
Yeah.
Or that you're straight? And, that this is like, two-sided, medal that actually, you can't really win this battle.
Yeah. It's amazing. I have a little personal story here. I mean,
Again,
yeah.
they're welcome. They're welcome. No, I love to hear.
No, this is funny because like I was talking with my mother about not my like personal life, but like the like you can be in love like with girls and boys, and which is fine. And she was in shock because like, oh my god, you are the whole life you are with boys and then you just become lesbian. No, you're not becoming a lesbian. You're just like experiencing your love life with somebody who is not a man or a woman. So in her opinion, you have lesbians and gay people, or you have lesbians and straight people, you know. So it's this and that. So but I think the core of it is just not being visible. You're not being visible. You're not being that important to the
You're
community.
not actually represented well. Like, it's really tough. I mean, I've seen horrific representation in movies and in you know, media as well. Like, we tend to talk, especially in the media where, you know, the LGBTQ plus community doesn't get much space. So, you know, even when you do get the space, you focus on the things that are much easier to explain, so to say, but it's really bad. You know, that's a bad way of thinking about it, because like nothing is easy, nothing is hard to explain. You just have to, you know, educate yourself. So, you know, bad representation leads to this misconception about bi people being half gay, half straight.
Yeah,
because, you know, we can't actually make people think outside of the box in which, you know, they are stuck, because in this box they're only gay and straight people.
yeah.
You know, and then like thinking outside of the box means that understanding and finding out that there are other identities you can be and you can identify as, and, you know, be completely outside of the binary option of gay and straight.
Yeah.
And that is, you know, like when we ask for more representation, we tend to be met with the sentence saying you're just asking for attention, which is also another stereotype for bi people. I've heard it many, especially for the girls that come out as bisexual. You know, you just want to kiss some girls and you just want some attention from the boys again. Because male gaze, as you mentioned, it all makes sense now.
Yeah. Because every stereotype is really just adding to one another. You are also funny. It's super funny to me is that being bisexual is cool now. So everybody's bisexual. Oh, if I could just
It's a new trend. You have to see it.
Yeah, everybody is bisexual. You just want to kiss girls at parties to be hot for boys. Okay, if
that's your thing.
Yeah, if that's your thing, go for it. Yeah, I mean, maybe because I'm super comfortable with my identity, I don't feel threatened by every other people who just kiss others just for fun.
Apologies.
But also it's so stupid. It's so stupid that I cannot even address it in the proper way. Like, okay, if it's easier to you to accept me in that way, that this is just a phase that I'm doing just to be fun and cool and quirky and hot for others, okay.
I mean, yeah, obviously this is something that's one way to look at it, but obviously there are, you know, this is something that's really serious because it can lead to this, as you mentioned in the beginning as well, like fetishization of
but it's
of a whole community.
One fetishization.
Yeah. And I mean, like, even the people who just kiss people at parties, they're, you know, exploring their sexuality.
Yeah.
It's completely fine. The process is completely fine. Even if you admit that you're just like kissing girls at parties, that's completely fine too. But that doesn't have to make any connections to the bisexuality as well.
I also want to just put a different view. What about boys kissing boys at parties? What about them? Are they exploring themselves? Are they doing for the fun? No. They're not doing that. It's awful to say that, like, being because we live in the patriarchal world, and it's easier for girls to be bisexual than for
to show
boys.
affection towards other girls because it's more acceptable.
Yeah, than for boys to do that. Because if you are a bisexual boy, it's so much harder to. You need to pick a side because you are gay. Your side is well picked. You know, if you are. I think that's much. It's hard for everybody. Let's start there.
Yes.
But I think because of the patriarchal word here, it's harder for them because they're.
But isn't it like when a girl comes out bisexual, she's usually straight and likes to...
Yeah.
This is the... I'm not saying this, but like, this is the opinion of the people. Like, bisexual girls are usually seen as straight girls who just likes to kiss around with girls.
Yeah.
And bisexual boys are gay guys who just, you know, like can't decide and can't really put up with the fact that they're gay. So, you know, like there are two sides of this story. Like, you know, it's not the same for these two genders, you know, like people see differently masculine people in homoerotic relationships rather than, you know, feminine people within the same, those relationships, you know, like they tend to have different stereotypes based on their gender.
Yeah. And that's why it's super different. And you should know that it's not the one stereotype. It's not based for every gender similar and at all.
It's not universal.
Yeah.
It's not universal.
Yeah.
What about the stereotype that bisexual people are dirty cheaters?
Because they are indecisive. So
that's where the problem lies.
The problem lies and starts because you are not complete. As my taxi driver said to me, you are in a relationship with a boy and a girl in the same time? No. The stereotype lies because you are not feeling complete in a heterosexual relationship because you're missing a female or male touch. And if you are in other ones, if you're in same sex, maybe you're straight. Maybe I'm just experiment to you. So that's why they are indecisive, and that's why they're greedy, and that's why they're cheaters. Maybe that's true. I'm not like. I mean,
some people cheat. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, some people cheat, but
it doesn't matter the sexuality.
Yeah, but like maybe if you do research and see, I wouldn't say that's the hard truth because like many people are in open relationship in LGBT community at all. I think that like being in an open relationship is much more accepted in our community than in heterosexual.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mentioned in the beginning. Like, it's okay to be different, no matter what your definition of happiness is.
Yeah, but I think that just because your identity is seen as a liberal one, because you're not a traditional straight person.
Yeah.
And that's why you maybe put yourself in a position to feel more liberal than other. So maybe that's why this is... But I also have a theory about hookup cultures in general, which can be also seen as a problem of bisexual people because you are not satisfied with everything because you don't, if you're not out yet and you don't feel comfortable with your identity, you will not feel comfortable with every other person you are in a relationship with because you're not letting yourself feel the whole amount of emotions with that person, so you're just satisfying yourself with hookup things. So maybe that's why you cheat.
That's a whole another perspective.
But like maybe that's why you're cheat.
But I think, I mean, I wouldn't, I mean, obviously there are different reasons for why people cheat, and whether it be your own insecurity or I mean, communicate. Come on, we're grown up enough to communicate. Like,
just be a decent human being. It's fine.
Yeah, but like it's definitely cannot be and must not be connected to the bisexual community because I mean, come on, like I've seen so many hetero people cheat and we don't have that stereotype about them.
Yeah.
Like it's just, like let's stay away from this idea that liking more than one gender means liking them at the same time.
Yeah.
And even if it means liking them at the same time, let's not forget that we still are human beings with with the ability to talk and have a full-on conversation, during which we can say openly to our partner, no matter who they are and what gender they are, that maybe we want to see other people. And stuff. So this is a huge problem. So I mean, the next stereotype I have here written down is the one that you actually mentioned at the beginning of this episode.
Threesomes.
Oh, let's do some threesomes. Like lucky boyfriend of yours that you have, if you have it, because he's gonna be able to have two girls at the same time.
Yeah, because
like
you
what
paid
the
for
hell?
It's interesting also if you are on dating apps and you mention that you are bisexual, that's instantly, let's do threesome. Oh, let's start like,
Yeah, let's talk first.
let's talk first. And if you say that you had a threesome, that's just like, you are just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Which
like
means that
10
you are
points
gonna
more.
do it every next time with every other person. Like, that's not how it goes. But if it's I'm just like talking about my personal experience now. If you are into threesomes, go for it. I'm fully.
No. I mean, like it's obviously there are bi people who are on dating apps only to have threesomes.
Yeah, which is
completely legit.
fine.
Completely legit.
But like, just don't assume that everyone is, and just like don't assume that you are. Just because you are talking with somebody who says that it's bisexual, just don't go and be like, okay, this is I can
My ticket in.
yeah my
threesome.
threesome for threesome. Okay, so it's really. I think that that's the most harmful thing. Not most harmful. I said the visibility is most harmful, but like the second one, because you're fully fetishized on. Your identity is just like being, that's so hot and steamy, and I wanna see you in an action with a girl, or with a girl, not with a boy. And
I mean, threesomes can mean that there are two boys involved and one girl.
never, never, and because that's gay. But also,
We don't want that.
we don't want that here. But also, I am 100% sure that if you come out as bisexual and if you're male, I'm not sure that you would be asked for threesome at all. So,
Yeah, it kind of seems to me that all of these, not all of these, but most of these stereotypes kind of have the core and the root in the fact that misogyny exists.
yeah, misogyny exists in patriarchal world. It's pretty established and still existing hard.
Yeah, definitely. And basically, still, even within the bisexual community, even within the LGBT community as a whole, women are still more marginalized than the others. And even, trans feminine people are more marginalized, more discriminated against than trans masculine people, because they sometimes feel the norms that our society dictates, which are more acceptable than the ones that feminine people do. And that's the sad truth. And even the movie industry, the pop culture still goes on to fetishize women and still goes on to say that women exist for this and that, and the movies that we make and the movies of women love WLW relationships, they still are quite through the prism of what a straight man would like to see, rather than what actually we want to see. Generally, just like how these people actually live their lives and how these people actually go on, in relationships, how they date and who they date and why. So that's definitely like one of the most important things to mention is that homophobia, biphobia as well, all go hand in hand with misogyny and sexism.
Yeah.
So the last actually stereotype that I have for you, but you probably heard of it too, because I believe that these are not really, you have to have 20 years of experience being a bisexual in order to hear them. You can hear them in 20 minutes or less within a conversation that someone finds out you're bisexual. So this stereotype actually is connected to some of the ones that we mentioned previously, is the one that people often think that bisexual people can have serious, long-lasting relationships, and that, you're not looking for anything serious, you're just hooking up, basically what you mentioned a minute ago. So what do you think about this stereotype? Where does it come from? Because I don't think it's the root, to hear is not the root, misogyny is not the root of this one, but I believe that, the fact that we believe that bisexual people are greedy and indecisive is definitely, something that has a fact on it.
I said earlier that every stereotype is just adding on one another, so it's backing up. So if you're greedy and you cannot pick a side, you are not straight, gay, whatever you are, you cannot have a serious relationship because you're lacking something. You are lacking the love for in same-sex partnership. You're not love, lust for other people, and also in a straight one. So that's
like you're always gonna miss.
Yeah, just you're just missing everything. But that's not true. That's really not true, because if you're really in love with somebody and you love somebody and you love, I don't know, being with them, you're not thinking about the penis.
Exactly.
Because and also you're not thinking about vaginas. So
I mean, the person that matters, like the person is in front of you.
Yeah, and it's not like what they have in their pants. I mean, I'm really disgusting speaking about this, but like you're not lacking anything if you are fulfilled if you feel fulfilled in this relationship.
Yes.
So many heterosexual people also cannot have a serious relationship, and that's called fuckboys or whatever. So, but
I mean, I completely understand.
I think that's just
it's unfair.
It's not
to connect it to the
because you're just doing a generalization of everything that's different for you, and you're just like putting specific communities in specific boxes, and you're just leaving it that way. So I don't know. I think that like fighting these stereotypes is really hard, because if you have one person who is a presenter of that stereotypes, that's you see.
So you only need one person to create the rule.
Yeah, I mean, which is fine. You can be a stereotype, you can be a prejudice, you can be whatever you want, but that doesn't represent me or you or I don't know everyone else. So. But for people who are creating these stereotypes, it's just enough for one person to be like an example of it, and also you can say, oh yeah, you're a good bisexual. Everyone else is.
Yeah. It's like creating a standard for how to be bisexual and how not to be bisexual.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that. I'm out of these stereotypes, but I believe that there's more of these everywhere. But one thing that's for sure and that I can guarantee is that every bisexual person wants to hear that they're welcome.
Yeah.
Whatever they are, whatever that they are welcome to, like whether it be the LGBTQ plus community or whether it be the hetero community or any other above and beyond, like you just wants to feel like you're a part of something and that you're human enough for someone to care about you the same way everyone else cares about everyone else.
Yeah, and if you're in one community, just to feel visible as like a part of other community, and that visibility is accepted and respected, because it's that's your identity. It's not the whole one. You have many identities beside your sexuality and gender identity.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's important for you to feel welcomed and respected as the whole person, including your sexuality and gender identity. So, yeah.
I mean, obviously, you can't focus on one part of someone's identity and, take it out of the context of who that person is, because in the end, we all carry a lot more on our back than just our sexuality, our interest in music, our, origin, nationality and stuff. It's like a lot more that's a topic for another podcast, because it's completely, it's a really, really range of something, of things that have to be taken into consideration in order to say that we are inclusive. Wow, well, this was, for me, very, very interesting, and thank you for sharing your personal stories. This was really fun to listen to, and I hope that same goes for our listeners, whatever they are listening us on. Thank you for coming to this podcast episode of Youth Squad. Thank you for being so open, and thank you for commenting on these stereotypes with me.
Thank you for,
inviting you here. Well, you're very welcome. See you or hear you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Youth Squad. My name is Maria. The Youth Squad podcast series is recorded under a small-scale project in the field of youth called Voicehood of Youth, which will cover 4 topics: human rights, gender equality, European multiculturalism, inclusion and diversity, and active participation. The project is implemented within the Erasmus Plus program and is financed by the Swedish National Agency. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure you stay tuned for another episode.